What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Hope everybody's having a great day or night whenever you're watching this. The Houston Texans, they are just on a different level right now, and they just added Stefon Diggs in a huge trade, and one I did not see coming at all. And I just love the trade for the Texans. I love what they've done this whole offseason, but adding Diggs to this already loaded team that was trending to the moon is now trending to like a different universe. It looks so good. If you're a Texans fan, a CJ Stroud fan, or you just like good football, this is going to be the team to watch out for. And Diggs is going to make an impact. And he's going to make an impact from day one. I can't wait to see this. What do you think is going to happen with the Texans this year? How good do you think this trade will be with them and Diggs? Do you think this partnership's going to work? Or do you think it might be kind of like the Bills where you might clash heads a little bit? I don't think it's going to clash heads. This trade just looks great on paper, and I think it's going to look great on the field. But the main thing is, what does this mean for the Texans? And I'm going to get into that. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video. But honestly, what it means to me is that they're going for a Super Bowl. They realized, like, we turned this rebuild around in like 2 years, and we did this pretty much flawlessly, right? We got our coach. We got everything we want, right? We got our QB of the future the next 15, 20 years. Now it's time to go win. And you draft well, and then you make these kinds of trades. Because guess what? CJ Stroud's on a rookie contract. So if you're able to put together a team while your QB is on the cheap, you can add a Stefon Diggs. You can add a Danielle Hunter. You can add like extra really good players to bolster your team and bolster your chances of winning big. So this is, I think, them saying we're going all in on CJ's rookie contract. And in a few years, we'll pay that guy. But we don't got to worry about that right now. So we might as well, do the most we can while our quarterback's getting pennies on the dollar and prove that he is as legit as it comes and is going to be an MVP player in this league. Now for Stefon Diggs, because that's the important part of this video and how he transcends this team. He makes them easily a top 2 or 3 offense in the league. They were awesome last year, and you just added a premier receiver that each of the last 6 years has over 1,000 yards. 5 of the last 6 years has over 100 catches. Averages like 9 touchdowns a year. You basically just added 100 catches, 9 touchdowns, and 1,200 yards to your team. That's nothing to slouch at. We're not just going to waltz. We're not going to just walk by that and act like it's nothing. You just added that to a team that already had Nico Collins, who had an amazing breakout season last year. They had Tank Dell, who missed the last part of last year because of an injury, but is going to come back. Looked awesome before that. So you have 2 young guns in Tank and Nico. And then now you're adding, yes, Stefon is 30, but he's not washed yet. He's still got a couple premier years left in him. And all you gave up to get Stefon Diggs was a 2nd rounder, a 5th rounder, and a 6th rounder. 2 dudes that might not even make an NFL team and a 2nd round pick. So, I mean, the Bills did get something of value back, but it's not like you had to trade a 1st rounder or anything like that. You gave up a 2nd. I think you gave up fair value, in my opinion, because you're not going to see a receiver age 30 or older get traded for a 1st round pick. It's just not going to happen. But ultimately, you just added a monster to an already monstrous offense. And there's probably some people that are like, well, Diggs was trashed the last half of last season. And I would say that the scheme that he was involved in was pretty bad for receivers, right? Because before the OC change, because a lot of people are forgetting about this, the Buffalo Bills had an OC change in the middle of last season. Before that change, Diggs was doing what he was doing in years past. They make that change, his numbers fall down. What do they start doing? They start running the ball a lot more than the Bills ever have. So they had a philosophy change, an OC change, and Diggs kind of got iced out of that. And that was just what the Bills elected to do. Obviously, it didn't work out. But now Stefon's going to go to a team that wants to throw the ball all over the field. Like, that's what the Texans wanted to do last year. And they also were smart. They added Joe Mixon, right? So you add a veteran running back that can get you those tough yards. You have a running back duo of Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce, who Dameon Pierce had a down year last year. But maybe with a split workload, it can help bolster both those guys for the longevity of a 17, 18 game, hopefully 20 game season. I love what the offense looks like when you add Stefon Diggs to this, because you have CJ Stroud, who's a premier young quarterback, already one of the top 6 or 7 QBs in the league. And you added Joe Mixon, You have Dameon Pierce, like I already said. You're going to add Stefon Diggs to Tank Dell and Nico Collins, who were legit. You also have Robert Woods, who's still a savvy vet. You have Dalton Schultz, who was quality at tight end. Same with Brevin Jordan. And then the O-line is solid. Like, Laramie Tunsil is one of the top, 2, 3 left tackles in the league. And then Juice Scruggs came in at center and was pretty good. Right guard, Shaq Mason's pretty solid. Titus Howard, a right tackle, pretty solid. And then defensively, we added. I'm not a Texans fan. It's not my thing, but I am rooting for them. You add Danielle Hunter, who had a career year with 16.5 sacks. You add Denico Autry, who had a career year with 11.5 sacks last year. You bolster that D-line. You add in Azeez Al-Shaair from the Niners to bolster your linebacking core, who already had an emerging Christian Harris. Right? You have a young linebacking group that looks good. And then you already in the back end had what I think are star players in Jalen Petrie and Derek Stingley. This team is loaded, dude. And I credit the front office of the Texans because it takes a lot to realize when you're in win now mode and to actually go for it. So many people wait and wait and wait, and then it's time to pay that quarterback. And then, injuries happen and things fall apart, which that, of course, could happen to the Texans. It's not like bad luck can't strike. But you gave yourself a supreme chance to go win next season and in the years after. They're going to be one of those teams, because CJ is going to be on the cheap for the next few years, that they can consistently add to this team. Because even with all that they did in free agency, and now you're adding Diggs via trade, they have 2 second-rounders coming in this year. You have a 3rd-rounder and 2 fourths. I apologize. 2 seconds, a 3rd, and 2 fourths that are probably going to be players that are playing decent snaps on the field. Those are all going to be young, cheap guys that you're adding to the team. This team, man, the trajectory looks so bright for that future, and it looks so dark before they drafted CJ. It looked dark. We didn't know what was going to come of it, but when you get a franchise quarterback, other things tend to fall in line. You tend to, okay, we got the biggest problem solved. Where are we kind of weak? Where could we use improvements? Where should we load up? And I think that the Texans were like, we can load up a receiver because our quarterback's cheap. We don't got to pay him right now. And we can load up on the D-line and add players. And then we still have the draft to add in the secondary and to add to the O-line. Their team's crazy. This is amazing, in my opinion, because all we've heard is for Stefon Diggs being traded is that he's going to Dallas to play with his brother. Well, he went to Texas. He ain't going to Dallas, going to Houston. And I think it's great because you're going to get to see him with a young up-and-coming QB in a young up-and-coming wide receiving room. This is like the perfect mesh, in my opinion. It's like we want to go Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You got all the turtles and then Master Splinter being Stefon Diggs, right? You got Nico and Tank being like Michelangelo and Raphael, or however you want to look at it, whichever of the turtles you guys might like. And then Splinter's the older guy that's coming in, wise beyond his years, still got it, and can lead them and can show them different things. And I think they added to that receiving room, and they added experience. They added a lot with this trade, and you added a ton of talent. I give this an absolute A+ deal. I can't wait to see what the Texans look like in the regular season. They just made them, they were already a premier up-and-coming team. They just made themselves like certified that everybody needs to be put on notice. But let me know in the comments how you feel about the Texans trading for Stefon Diggs. Bills fans, let me know how you're feeling about it. You did get a 2nd rounder. I kind of understood it. It seemed like it was kind of things were coming to an end. But it looks good for both sides, in my opinion. I just love this for the Texans because I love seeing teams go all in when they have a young quarterback, because this is the best chance you're going to get to build around him. So I think it's great. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video. But Stefon Diggs is going to Texas. He ain't going to Dallas. He's going to Houston. Thanks for watching. Peace.